Hi everyone, my name is Vivian Nguyen, and today I will be presenting my narrative project on interviews with my fellow pageant sisters on their experiences with our Rose Bridge Project mental health video. The Rose Bridge Project was started in the summer of 2022 with my group of pageant sisters to raise awareness of mental health in our Vietnamese community. We realized that our pageant speeches express our experience of similar struggles with mental health as Vietnamese American women. In the speeches, we addressed the stigma against mental health in our culture, as many of us had a hard time expressing our feelings with our parents or elders, as we felt our feelings were insignificant, burdensome, and misunderstood. As Vietnamese culture places immense pressure to meet their societal and familial expectations. Since our speeches are similar, we thought that other Vietnamese Americans may experience the same struggles and need a comfortable space to be vulnerable. Therefore, we utilize our platform and voice to bridge the gap between the older and younger generation on mental health. So, our first objective was to create a mental health video to introduce the Rose Bridge Project and its purpose to raise mental health awareness in our Vietnamese community. The layout of the video has our community complete anonymous survey about their relationship with their mental health and the Vietnamese community. Then my friends and I read and reacted to these responses with the Vietnamese psychologist, Dr. Susie Swaydong. So here's the video we made, and I hope you guys enjoy it.
The Vietnamese community. Even today, I'm still wounded by some of the things you've said to me. I wish you knew how much value your words hold to me, how much capability they have to hurt, but also to heal.
The young people, parents' words is so important. Sometimes parents think that, I say so much, and probably don't listen to me. They walk away. No, but everything they say is like internalized.
Personally, I think I remember some terms that my parents have said, or just sayings like comforting me, or even some, nagging little terms. I feel like those are the ones that really suck on, and they can definitely be very healing, like the note said, or kind of very detrimental as well to me.
Very positive, we remember three negative things. And then if we have abuse and all of that stuff, we remember negative like in even more.
Growing up in a strict household like mine, you learn to keep to yourself. Words like mental health were unspoken of, because to be struggling with mental health was to be weak. As the eldest daughter, I kind of had to keep silent about my own problems because growing up, you had to set the example, be the role model for your siblings, and it was often kind of hard keeping problems internally because I didn't want to be seen as weak, even though I felt like I was weak.
That's why, and when parents said they don't talk to me, everything I ask them, they say no, simply because when young people start sharing thoughts or feelings or differences in opinions, they kind of get shut down or being judged.
I think a lot of Asian communities in general have a hard time being vulnerable with their parents. And it's probably because of the generational gap. The older generation doesn't seem to express as many emotions as the younger generation now does.
We don't talk about personal feelings. My mother actually has schizophrenia and receives mental health services, but even there's a lot of misunderstandings and ignorance about what mental health means. My dad actually struggles, goes in and out of mental hospitals from when I was young. So I really sympathize with this person.
Harvard research showed that folks who live with someone who have an illness in the home, the probability of having anxiety and depression is 5 or 6 times. The Vietnamese culture or the Asian culture, we don't practice expressing emotion. We don't even expand our languages and vocabularies of emotions. You know, a lot of things like frustrated or disappointed or insulted or violated. You know, we don't have those vocabularies that being practiced a lot.
Sometimes the lack of a personal relationship hurts a lot, and I wish I had a family that was more loving. I'm not as close with my extended family as I used to be, and I don't get their love or support. Well, I hope whoever wrote this has some support in their lives and that they're doing okay. But I'm really proud of them being able to speak up.
So I guess, you know, we all needed connection and feeling belong. There's a neurochemical in the brain called oxytocin, and that neurochemical really helps to feel stress. That's why some parents said, you know, my kids having a boyfriend and girlfriend so early, like 13, 14. The question for me to ask them is how they are loved at home.
I've still often been guilt tripped by my mom at times, and my dad refuses to believe anything he did towards me was wrong. I might be able to have a conversation with my mom, but my dad never. I think my dad has more of a is more traditional than my mom. So for him, whenever I'm going out, he doesn't understand that I want some time to relax and get away from the stressful environment. But for him, it's more of I'm slacking off from work or school.
So you actually experience the lack of empathy
Yes.
for your stress and the different stressors in your life, right? And the judgment.
Yes.
Right? It's so quick to judge, and I guess a lot of young people relate to that as well. And young people tell me that their parents control them by guilt,
Yeah.
right? And then you put you in the guilt trap and make you feel bad.
Yeah.
I wish they were here. I could kind of relate to this because living in an Asian household with a single mom, she had to juggle a lot of jobs when I was younger in order to, put a roof over our heads and food on the table. So as a child, I grew up with a partially absent mother and an absent father.
Yes, I can relate to that. I grew up with single mom. Yeah. That really simple, but it's very profound.
Yeah.
I wish you were here. Right? A lot of young people, they grow up, have challenges and struggle and many other things. Their parents have no idea. They struggle and doing it alone without anyone witnessing that. And having maybe your mom's strength to get it through, right? But it doesn't mean that you don't need everything else. And I just do wish that your mom helped you more.
Oh my gosh.
I do wish that sometimes even parents, even if they don't have words and they can express their feeling, they just hug their kids more.
After several months of filming the following video, my creative project is basically I interviewed my fellow pageant sisters in the video to ask them about their overall feelings and experiences with the making of this video and what the video means to them. I thought this could be a really great idea as my friends can express their honest and raw feelings about the video, either positive or negative, to see if their perspective or stance on mental health has changed, or even if the video provides them with new insights they could bring to their life. So the first question I asked them was, how was the overall experience of being a part of the video? Most of the responses were generally positive as they said it was fun, exciting, and really great. One of the things that really stood out to me, and I kind of agree, was the words community and vulnerable in these responses. In Vietnamese culture, there's a really strong emphasis on community as we represent a minority in America that's being constantly overlooked. To be noticed, we have to work extremely hard, yet be calm and collected all times to meet others' expectations. However, these expectations can put immense pressure on us as which can cause anxiety, depression, and many more mental health issues. And while we want to express our feelings to our parents, we feel that we will be scrutinized and shamed to be vulnerable because Vietnamese culture itself sees these individuals as weak or insignificant to take care of themselves or others. This kind of touches upon the intersectionality that we discussed in class, as not only does society itself sees people with mental health issues as dependent on others, but also the shame that comes from the Vietnamese culture for being incapable of not taking care of themselves and thus disappointing our community. Even though not every Vietnamese person understands the situation, there there are plenty of other Vietnamese Americans that struggle with mental health and that could understand how hard it is to be vulnerable to others, which creates that community within the Vietnamese culture. And this camaraderie really is what we felt strongly after the video, in which we want to uplift and acknowledge the vulnerability of expressing feelings. And we want to showcase that it is okay to feel this way and you're not alone, as there is a community of us to support you. The next question I asked was, what was it like reading other people's responses about their mental health? So many of my friends express the same feelings of community and togetherness, as one of them expresses the presence of solidarity in the Vietnamese cult community, struggling with being vulnerable with others. For my friends and I, we experienced similar struggles in expressing emotions to our Vietnamese family, as we felt that no one could really understand us and our feelings due to the generational gap and lack of understanding of mental health. If we do express it, we always hear the usual, it's just probably stress from school or work and it will go away, or it's okay, I understand, which we don't want, as this kind of shows the lack of empathy that the video discusses for us, such since they subside our feelings for others, even though it is not all about them, or promote this being cured or that it can be fixed. This highlights the medical model of disability, as society believes that these individuals need some consulting or words of comfort from others to fix their feelings, when in actuality, some individuals just want someone who knows their pain and struggles firsthand rather than meaningless words. Therefore, seeing these responses makes us feel not alone, and that solidarity generates a genuine sense of empathy for us towards the individuals that do portray an accurate representation of mental health issues to the Vietnamese community. The next question I asked was, what were some major takeaways from being in the video, and what would you like others to know about this video? The main takeaways my friend said were that there's still a constant struggle for the young generation to be open about their mental health, even in today's society where it is very open, and emphasize that their voices do matter. While society has been more accepting and acknowledging mental health over the years, there is still such a stigma against these individuals due to the numerous stories about people with mental health disorders who are incapable of speaking up for themselves, or they're either characterized as psychotic or mentally insane, which is totally not true. This is representing the danger of telling a single story, as it creates the stereotypes and preconceived notions that mental disorders of which are completely false and exaggerated. Therefore, having different perspectives and stories is important to create a more accurate portrayal of mental health issues that are more realistic than seeing villainous. We want to highlight in our video that the young Vietnamese American community does have a voice, and it does matter, and they can use that voice to raise awareness about mental health. The last question I asked was, were there some things you want to touch upon that were not addressed in the video? My friends raised a lot of concerns about not bringing the older generation of Vietnamese people into the video and the wish that they could read all the responses. And from connecting this interview, I totally agree with both of their perspectives as we previously discussed the importance of having different voices to represent an accurate depiction of Vietnamese Americans with mental health. We always have this interpretation of what our parents think about their reactions to mental health, which could be totally different and maybe inaccurate from what the parents really think. Therefore, we would like to include the older generation in the conversation about mental health in Vietnamese culture and express its importance. In addition, this also applies to people that submitted our survey and we didn't get to read in the video. They deserve their responses. They deserve their voices to be heard. And hopefully in the near future, when we continue this project, we can include these responses into our activities. So after interviewing my friends, I think my biggest takeaways were that there was a solidarity and empathy for other young Vietnamese Americans and their struggle with mental health, as we want to reiterate that there is a community for us and who experience and suffer similar mental health journeys, and that we can understand and uplift it and make sure that it's okay to feel this way. And there's also the need for open and a comfortable space in society for these individuals to be vulnerable and for them to express their feelings, as their voice does matter and needs to be acknowledged rather than being treated as a sick or an insane person. And lastly, providing voices for both the young and older generation of Vietnamese Americans in order to bridge that gap of understanding of mental health, as Vietnamese people with mental health are more scrutinized due to the intersectionality. Thank you for listening to my presentation. And I just want to say special thank you to Dr. Crystal Lee for all the help on this project and for opening my eyes to the importance of health communities in society. And I am going to take all the information in class into the near future. Thank you.